I've started the recording, so all set.
All right. All right. Hello, and welcome to a presentation on multi-factor authentication and what it is and how to use authenticators. This is something that CTS is still trying to get out there. Um, and we want to do a little presentation to talk about some details and especially focus on authenticators as an important piece of MFA. So let's get started here. So just going to talk about what MFA is, why should you really care, and how we're using it at Oswego. And hopefully my screen is actually showing here. So there's going to be a little bit of jargon here that I got from different locations, but just the idea of MFA is to give you multiple methods to have an account protected. Everybody's used to having a password. MFA gives you another layer of verification of who you are beyond just a password that can be cracked. So rather than just having that password, you can use things like a fingerprint or a code or things like that on top of the password, which will help give you a little bit more safety, security, encryption. And this is something that we are requiring going forward for a lot of our services. This is also helpful to really decrease the likelihood of getting successful cyber attacks the more things that we have using MFA. And so why should you care? Well, let's say you've got, a bank account or something, right? Obviously, it's very sensitive information, and you want that protected when you're trying to get in to do things. Well, if you've got a simple password on there, a hacker can probably find ways in and compromise your account and then potentially compromise the bank and get information out there. So, would you want that to happen? No. So we've got the same thinking, in CTS and at Oswego, where we've got a lot of very sensitive information, such as student data, grades, et cetera, that we need to have protected. And a lot of people have access to different pieces of information at Oswego. And the best way that we can lock those different things down is to enable MFA services on all these different methods of getting into these business locations, these different things that people can use. So you've been seeing this implemented over the course of the last couple of years, and we're going to talk about a couple different things that we can use to do MFA, to use authenticators. This is not the end all be all. There's a couple different things you can use. If you ever have any questions about this, I'll just note this real quick. We'll talk about this again at the end. Please definitely talk to our CTS help desk, and they would be glad to assist you with this process. So how are we using it at Oswego? Well, the one we've had in place for a couple of years now, at least, you've seen this, the picture on the left-hand side. This is, quote, the Microsoft login, which is customized a bit to look like Oswego branding. You've been seeing this used for things like a Brightspace or a My Oswego, DegreeWorks, a number of platforms, web services at Oswego are using this login at this point. And at this point, most folks have acclimated to this process. We still have cases where users may need to get some help using a specific device or some other method, and we'll talk about what you can do with that. The more recent change, which we're still technically rolling out to various groups with campus services, is Google's what they call two-step verification. 2SV is just another way of calling it MFA. And we're still seeing cases where Google 2SV or MFA is causing some issues for folks. Please note that we do have a website through the CTS page that talks about how to use MFA, how to configure it for both Microsoft and Google. The link is right there. It's just CTS/MFA from the Oswego website. We've got some videos and knowledge base articles linked there to help guide you on this process. And again, if you still have issues with that, please contact the help desk. They are trained a lot on the MFA process and they can help work with you on that as necessary. One of the things that we as a department are really advocating, and I'm going to focus on in this presentation, is the use of what's called an authenticator. Now, with the Microsoft MFA in particular, and with the Google one as well, there are multiple methods you can use for MFA. And you may have seen you can get like a phone call to your desk phone or to your cell phone. You can do texting, for example. A lot of those processes require some kind of signal or way to actually reach you. When we talk about an authenticator, though, it's easy to use and it doesn't matter where you are in the world or whether you even have a connection or not. And so we're going to talk about why that's a big one that we're trying to recommend using in this presentation. So if you've got any kind of smartphone device, an iPhone, an Android device, in particular, since those are the big ones, there are authenticator apps that are out there. You can actually get one called the Microsoft Authenticator from the App Store or Google Play, and you can install those. And again, through that website, we do have a process on how to configure the Authenticator app on your phone. The biggest point to note and why we're pushing the idea of authenticators is that it does not require, once you have it installed, any kind of internet connection to work at all, ever. So whether you don't have Wi-Fi, even if you're in a place where you don't have any kind of cellular data service, you can still use this authenticator process to get into services. So for the Microsoft Authenticator, there's a whole set of bullet points here, basically. Again, the CTS page will talk about how to do this. I just have a reference here as well. The picture that I have here is actually off of my phone, showing I have my account tied to this authenticator process, this app. Basically, the idea is it's going to give you a QR code that you can scan with your smartphone. That's going to be unique to your account as you're going through this process. And once you do that, it's going to connect your account as you see in this picture. You can then use that for codes, or you can get a 2-digit code whenever you're prompted signing into a website. I obviously have to use this every day for all the services that I'm doing with CTS. It's very straightforward. Once you log in once on one service, anything that uses MFA for that day, you're logged in already because it stores basically what's called a cookie in your internet browser. So you're good once you do it for one time a day. I will note for those folks that use our Oswego VPN service, that will require a separate login session. And that's just the nature of how that VPN connection works. But otherwise, once you're using it in a browser, one time you do it, you're good for the day. I do have a knowledge base article linked here that you can go ahead and reference from our knowledge base on the CTS website through Team Dynamics that talks about more how to set this up. Google, with their 2SV or their version of MFA, they do have an authenticator as well that's available. And I do have a screenshot. Again, this is on my phone. I did blurt out my name. I just put generic someone here. But the idea is that when you're setting up Google authentication, hopefully by this point you've already done that since we're requiring it. You will need to have access to some kind of phone number that can receive a code. But once you've got 2SV set up, then you can go ahead and install the Google Authenticator if you want to use that method as an option to use. And you'll see here that the Authenticator will have a random generated 6-digit code that you can use at any time, whether you're online or offline, to log into Google. So let's say you're traveling and you get prompted for your 2SV. If you've got your phone with you, you can bring up the Google Authenticator, type in that code, and it cycles through every about 30 seconds or so. And you can get into Google with that. I do want to note that you can use Google 2SV with the Microsoft Authenticator app. So if you don't want to download multiple applications to use for this process, you can simply use the Microsoft one that we talked about on the previous screen here. If you want to use the Google Authenticator for 2SV, you can do that as well. And again, we do have another KB article here linked as well that you can use to check that out. Now, another interesting one to consider is if you're working on an assigned computer that's yours, There are things available called browser extensions. Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, and Firefox all are modern browsers that are updated all very frequently, weekly, bi-weekly, depending on when they release things. All three of these major browsers offer what are called extensions or plugins. You actually can go to a Chrome store or Edge store, something like that, or a Firefox extension type store, and you can search for authenticators, and you can actually install an authenticator into your browser as an extension that will work the same way as the Google Authenticator, for example, or the Microsoft Authenticator. It basically will give you that same rotating 6-digit code that you can use to authenticate, whether or not you have a connection. And it works that same way, and it's still secure to your account. The article I have linked here through RKB will give you an example of how to set up that browser extension. If you do have questions about how to use that process, same idea, please feel free to contact our help desk, and they'll be glad to talk you through that process. This is something I will note that is not discussed as frequently. Not as many folks who use this methodology, but it's another way to use an authenticator. And it's something that we did want to talk about so that it is known, and it's a way that it's something we do support. So there's multiple methods of even using authenticators. We do encourage folks to use an authenticator method at the very least. And if you want to have other methods, such as a phone call or a text or a call to your landline, whatever the case is, that's all great. But this will guarantee you a login method that will work no matter whether you have a connection or not. So quick and short, pretty straightforward. Again, please feel free to reach out to our help desk if you have any questions on this. They are trained to work with everybody on this process. And worst case, we do have ways that we can put you into an exclusion group for the time being to help you out while we get you set up with that. And if you don't have a device that you can use, please feel free to contact us as well. We can work with you on methods such as the authenticator in the browser and things like that to get you going. I will note, if anybody does want a copy of this presentation that's watching it, please feel free to contact me directly at matt.brooks@Oswego. I have no problem sharing out my presentation. And again, if you want any help with this, contact our help desk at the locations listed on this page. And with that, we are all set.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Matt.
All right, quick and easy.